U.S. and Israel plead for ceasefire in 12-day war. Evacuation of 14 Ukrainian villages near the border with Belarus ordered. Trump insists on selling fighter jets to Turkey despite Israeli opposition. The steadfastness of the Iranian nation was the main factor in the comprehensive defeat of the enemies in the 12-day war. Young Journalist Club's Major General Mohsen Rezai said at a meeting to discuss the reorganization of the Popular Activists Front of Jihad and Martyrdom in the Sacred Defense Museum garden, which was held with the presence of professors, speakers, and leading narrators of the country. The people of Iran accompanied Imam Khomeini, may Allah have mercy on him, to eliminate polytheism, oppression, and hypocrisy, and today, after about half a century, they are still standing firmly and authoritatively on their ideals, enduring difficulties and hardships. He stated that after their defeat in the military field, the enemies thought of a cultural invasion and were defeated in that field as well. He added, the enemies concluded that the last bastion of struggle and pressure on the Iranian nation is the economic field, and they launched an economic war against Iran that reached its peak during Trump's first term in office, and they hoped to achieve results at that time, but they were again defeated. The commander of the Revolutionary Guards in the Sacred Defense said, the enemy's goal in the 12-day war was to finish the job within the first week, and they thought that by assassinating the commanders, Iran's military unity would fall apart. However, with the wisdom and tact of the commander-in-chief, the commanders were quickly replaced, and things got to the point where both America and Israel were begging for a ceasefire. Referring to Trump's claim of victory in this war, this member of the Expediency Discernment Council said, after the ceasefire, they said that we had destroyed Iran's nuclear facilities with our bombers and we won, while their goal was to overthrow the Islamic Republic, so they were defeated. He added, the main pillar of victory was the supreme leadership of the revolution, but in addition to the leadership pillar and the armed forces, another important and major factor in this victory was the popular uprising and the widespread support of all the Iranian people, even Iranians abroad, and the exemplary unity of the great Iranian nation in defending their country. Major General Mohsen Rezai said, if we maintain the stronghold of the international anti-Zionist movement, the Iranian nation will achieve its ideals. So, elites, scholars, and politicians must understand these historical circumstances and, with coordination and coherence along the path of the supreme leader, avoid making divisive statements. Authorities in northern Ukraine have issued an urgent order ordering the complete evacuation of 14 strategic villages near the Belarusian border. Young Journalist Club, Mina Azimi, authorities in the Chernihiv region in northern Ukraine issued an order on Tuesday to evacuate 14 villages near the Belarusian border. Vyacheslav Chavach, head of the Regional Military Administration, announced that the Defense Council has decided to evacuate 14 border villages where 300 people still live, adding, border areas are targeted by artillery and bombing attacks every day. It is worth noting that last night's Ukrainian attack on Novgorod region was one of the most daring and strategic Ukrainian drone operations against Russian President Vladimir Putin himself. The attack took place just before New Year's Eve, when Putin is usually at the residence. According to Lavrov, Russia does not intend to withdraw from the negotiations after this attack, but Russia's negotiating position will be reviewed in light of the Kiev regime's final transition to a policy of state terrorism. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Grushko also said that the Ukrainian drone attack on the Russian president's residence was a serious attempt to undermine the negotiations. He stressed that Kiev takes provocative actions every time the negotiations reach a critical stage. Donald Trump announced that Washington is seriously considering selling advanced F-35 fighter jets to Turkey despite Israeli opposition. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Monday that he is considering selling advanced F-35 fighter jets to Turkey. These remarks were made during the visit of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, a move that Netanyahu strongly opposes. "We're thinking very seriously about it," Trump said when asked about a possible deal to sell F-35s to Turkey during the meeting with Netanyahu at his private club in Florida. In 2019, the United States removed Turkey, a NATO ally, from the F-35 fighter jet development program, one of the world's most advanced stealth aircraft, after the country continued to purchase missile defense systems from Russia. However, Trump has warm relations with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, a veteran leader with Islamist roots who has repeatedly condemned Israel's devastating attacks on Gaza in a harsh tone. Israeli policymakers argue that in the event of a potential war, Turkey would benefit from having the F-35. Israel and Turkey are at odds over war-torn Syria, which neighbors both countries. When asked about the possibility of conflict between Israel and Turkey, Trump described Erdogan as a very good friend. "We're not going to have a problem. Nothing is going to happen," Trump said of Israel and Turkey. During his first term in office, Trump also agreed to sell F-35 fighter jets to the United Arab Emirates after the country recognized Israel. He has also recently announced his support for the sale of F-35 fighter jets to Saudi Arabia.